Hi and good evening. This is Matt Smith with Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. I'm joined tonight with Carla Hooker with our investment solutions available through CUSO Financial Services LP. Tonight we're going to be talking about retirement planning for over 50. We'll just get started here in a little bit. I know we'll have some attendees coming in, and we'll get ready right at 6 o'clock. So just hang tight. Hi, Susan. Just wanted to say hello to you. Hope you're having a good evening.
Yes, I'm having a good evening. It's my day off.
Oh, woohoo! That's great. That's always good. Good evening, Teresa. So glad that you could come on and be with us.
Thank you so much.
We hope you've come with a lot of questions because Carla is ready.
That's good. I'll probably have a lot because it's a good subject.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey there, Lori. Thank you for joining with us.
Hello.
I was telling Teresa, I hope y'all come with a lot of questions because Miss Carla's ready.
I'm kind of a 101 kind of person trying to get into all this.
That's quite all right.
You're not alone, I promise.
Yes, sounds like me.
Yes, not alone. This is going to be a really, we want this to be a really engaging time tonight. And so, if you do have those questions, don't hold back, because we're all, like myself included, I'm thinking about this, and I learned something. I told Carla this the other day. I learned something new every time I come on and I listen and I participate in these webinars, and I hope it's the same for you guys tonight. So don't hold back. If you do have questions, you can enter them in through the chat through Zoom, or you can raise your hand, the little raise your hand button. That's available for you guys to use. But if there's a question that you have that you don't feel comfortable asking it in front of the group tonight, that's okay too. We will get you Carla's information and you can reach out to her individually and ask those questions. But again, thank you so much for joining tonight. We're going to start right at 6 o'clock, so there'll be some more people coming in. We hope. We've had quite a people register, so I'm hoping that we'll have a whole house full in here tonight. So y'all just hang tight.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Okay.
You're
I'm
very
glad I
welcome.
could join. Usually I'll be in another meeting on Tuesday nights. It was canceled, so I could join. I'm grateful for that.
Oh, good. Good. Hey, Lisa, thank you for joining tonight.
Hey, how are you?
We're doing good. Hope you are.
Why, I am.
Wonderful. We were talking amongst ourselves. If you have questions tonight, we hope to have answers, but if there's,
We don't have them, we will get them.
yeah. That's right. And Lisa, if you have questions, feel free to use the chat feature or the little raise your hand button, and we'll get to that question. If you have personal questions that you would like to ask that you don't feel comfortable asking here within the group, we'll get you Carla's information, and we'll get you set up. You can ask that question directly to her.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. In the meantime, I think I got out of the office right around the time, right before a big storm was about to hit. So it's looking a little gloomy around here at the house. I'm wondering if it's going to start storming.
We had a little lightning here earlier, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. Good, good. Good afternoon, Leanne. Thank you so much for joining. Good deal. Well, I'll go ahead and kind of get started. We started doing these webinars we've been doing them before COVID. We were having these in person, and it was a more intimate setting, and you have people all in one area. But of course, with COVID, it pushed us to do a lot more digitally, and we hope that tonight that you get the most out of this. We want this to be just a conversation, and Carla is a wealth of knowledge, and she brings across these points of interest and topics in a way that gets you thinking. Great if you have your questions. Definitely, we're happy to have those, and we're definitely happy to answer those. But we're hoping that tonight that you walk away with a better feeling, a better understanding, and looking into the process of retirement and what that looks like in the coming years. And maybe you'll walk away with something that you wasn't thinking about. So I am going to turn it over to Miss Carla Hooker. She is with our Piedmont Advantage Investment Solutions, that's made available through QSO Financial Services. So Carla, thank you so much for this evening and for leading us in this topic.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Can you see my screen okay? You got the slide up there.
Absolutely.
Everything
Yes.
looks like it's supposed to. Wonderful. Okay, so welcome. Thank you for joining us. As Matt said, my name is Carla Hooker, and I am a senior financial advisor for Piedmont Advantage Investment Solutions, available through QSO Financial Services. And tonight, the senior part of that is extra special because it means that I'm over 50. Like probably many of you who have joined tonight, because that's the program, right? It's retirement.
I'm nipping at your heels.
For those of us. So
I'm 2 months away. I hope I can still join.
absolutely. Yes, you're close enough. I don't know if y'all have experienced this or not, but back when I first started receiving the communications from AARP, back this up so that you can make a note of my contact information while I'm just chatting. But when I first started getting the mailings from AARP, my late husband laughed at me because I would tear those things up so quickly and put them in the trash. And I would, get all up in arms. I am not old enough for this. Well, now we're here, right? So it does not take long to get to this. And there are some benefits, though, right, to being this age. And one of those benefits is knowing that retirement may not be so far away for us, right? It's a lot closer than it has been in the past. So we're going to talk about tonight, what are some steps that we can take as people who are 50 or older to prepare for retirement that is looming so close. So what will your retirement look like? Did you see it looking like something in these pictures here? Or maybe
I want to be in that bottom right.
bottom right, which one? Oh yeah, on the beach, right. I was there last week. It was wonderful. Or maybe one of these pictures here, right? Throw your hands up in one of the convertibles like that. Or maybe retirement looks totally different for you. No matter what it looks like for you, we want you to be well informed and ready for whatever this new chapter brings. And with that said, as we do get closer to retirement, it's important to stop and take inventory. We need to make sure that the steps we're taking are preparing us for to meet our retirement goals. So this program is designed specifically for those of us age 50 and older or thereabouts and looking forward to retirement. So whether you're just now beginning or maybe you just need a little affirmation about what you've done so far, we certainly hope that you get some good information from the presentation tonight. And just to reiterate what Matt said, we would love for this to be an interactive presentation. So if you have questions, please do put those in the chat box. And Matt will keep me on task with those if he sees those pop up.
Or definitely, if you want to be unmuted, raise your hand and I can just unmute you and you can talk right with Carla.
I'd love to hear your lovely voices. So either way works for us. We'd love for you to just move right along with us and let us know what those questions are so that we can get those answered. We'll start with a recap of some important dates, some important age milestones as it relates to retirement. You may know that at age 50, you can begin to make catch-up contributions to most retirement plans. We'll look at those contribution limits in just a moment, but just know that the IRS does allow those of us who are 50 or older to make larger contributions, provided we qualify. At age 55, you may be able to begin withdrawing from pension or company plans without paying the 10% IRS penalty for early withdrawal. This is called the age of 55 rule, and there are a lot of people who are simply unaware that this rule exists. It applies only to your current plan though, and you must be at least age 55 when you leave the employer who provides the plan. Age 59 and a half is the age that most of us can withdraw from IRAs or other 401ks without that 10% IRS penalty. And then this is another one that not a lot of people know about. If you are a widow or a widower who has not yet remarried, you may be able to draw Social Security based on your spouse's record at age 60. Keep in mind though, if you do draw your Social Security benefits early, whether it be age 60 as a widow or age 62 from your own record, there will be a reduction in your benefit, a significant reduction. And you also may end up having to pay some of that back if you're also still working and have other income. So keep that in mind when you're considering when to draw your Social Security. Age 62 is the minimum age that most of us can draw a Social Security benefit based on our own record or a spouse's. Medicare eligibility starts at age 65 for most people. This is a big deal, right? Because healthcare is a very big expense for people who are in retirement. And if you can't qualify for Medicare until age 65 and you want to retire at 62, then you need to have a plan in place to cover those expenses in the interim. Social Security full retirement age is different for us depending on when we were born. I'll show you a chart in just a moment that's going to drill that down for you. But just know that Social Security full retirement age for all of us is somewhere between age 65 and 67. You can continue to defer your Social Security benefit, and doing that will allow your benefit to increase at a rate of 8% a year up until age 70. After age 70, the only growth that you'll see in that benefit is going to be due to inflation or maybe additional earnings if you have those. For most people, it just doesn't make sense to extend that benefit out beyond age 70. If you haven't started drawing by then, you probably need to turn them on. All right. You may have heard that at some age you're required to start taking money out of your retirement plans. That is true. Those rules are changing pretty rapidly. It used to be 70 and a half. Then in 2020, it changed to age 72. Beginning this year, that required minimum distribution age went up to age 73. And then it's going to change one more time in 2033 up to age 75. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to take all of your retirement out at that time. Okay. It simply means that you have to start withdrawing based on your life expectancy. The IRS requires you to withdraw a certain amount based on your life expectancy. All right, now here's that chart that I told you about that describes your full retirement age. For people who were born before 1943, their full retirement age was 65. If you were born between the years of 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is 66. Those of us who were born 1960 or later, our full retirement age is 67. And as you can see from the chart, for people who were born between 1955 and 1959, their full retirement age is 66 and a number of months based on the years that they were born. All right, so I'm going to pause right here real quickly and see if we've got any questions. Matt, is there anything in the chat box? Now would be the time to raise your hand if you do have questions.
I'm sorry, I was on mute there.
Good.
Right now, I don't see any questions in the question and answer box. Is there anyone that has a question that would like to unmute themselves and ask Carla your question?
That's the cool thing about Zoom. We can just let folks unmute themselves when they do have questions, and I would encourage you to do that because it's going to be a much more fun program if you guys do that. All right, so if you're here tonight and you haven't done much yet in the area of retirement planning, don't despair. It's not too late, okay? Yes, it's the earlier you start, the better, obviously, but age 50 is actually a very common age for people to begin thinking seriously about retirement planning. And today we're going to cover some steps that will get you started in the right direction, or if you've already started, hopefully help you continue in the right direction. So we're going to start today talking about creating a plan, and we're going to use plan as an acronym, okay? We'll talk about also the importance of participating in your employer-sponsored retirement plan if you have one. We'll talk about the annual catch-up contributions that are available for those of us who are over 50. We'll discuss the beauty of tax deferral and the concept of diversification. And finally, we'll talk about the importance of those regular financial reviews. All right, so creating a plan, playing catch up. There are some things that I'd like for you to consider as we think about the word plan. So first of all, the P, I'm sure I'm not the first person who's ever made this statement to you, right? You've probably heard a parent or a parent somewhere along the way tell you that you should always pay yourself first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the first items in your budget should be your savings. Now, this is a good way to, a lot of people teach their kids pay yourself first as well. You may be familiar with the envelope system, right? Where you give the child an allowance and you give them 3 envelopes, and one has save on it, one has give on it, one has spend on it. It's a great way to teach children how to put money away for their future, how to think about others before they start spending that money on themselves. So it's kind of the same concept here. We want to make sure that throughout life, we want to pay ourselves first. Savings the very first item in your budget. When we're younger, it's harder to do, right? We're busy paying the mortgage, paying the other bills, and just living. But even when you're younger, it's pretty important to save that emergency fund or that rainy day fund. And that's a great way to get in that habit of paying yourself first.
You know, that's really great, Carla, to keep in mind. I know my wife and I decided, gosh, this is probably, well, it's when we first met, Carla. I've been trying to I'm on my own journey to create a plan for our family. And we started back probably close to the first of the year. And we wanted to set aside money each month. And one good thing, if you're in a position right now and you have direct deposit, you know, you can actually defer funds to your savings account, you know, just by letting your place of work know how much you want to go into a savings account or a checking account or whatever. You know, we've set that up and we have just set it up and forgot about it. And, you know, within no time, we've grown our savings to where it was nothing. I'll just be completely honest with you. We built a house and then surprise, we have a new baby. And what's that?
I said a beautiful new baby.
She is lovely. But you know, that's just a great way, an example here of paying yourself first, in a simple way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So very important regardless of age. But saving for retirement is equally important, folks. So you want to make sure that you get the benefit of any match that your employer provides first and foremost. Don't leave that money on the table, right? If you don't contribute enough to get the match, then you are leaving money on the table. Beyond that, it's okay to start small. Just be sure to increase your savings as your earnings increase. Some employer plans will allow you to set up automatic increases every year. So every year on a given date, whatever that date is that the plan has set, your contributions will automatically increase by 1%. And that's a great way to increase your savings in a way that you might not even notice, right? So for example, let's say that I'm putting 5% in my plan, and maybe my plan offers that automatic increase option that occurs on April 1st of every year. So on April 1st of the following year, my contributions will automatically increase to 6%. And guess what? I probably wouldn't even notice, right? Because it's such a small amount. If you have that option and you turn it on, it's a great way to regularly increase that savings amount. Most of the plans that offer this will stop your contribution increase at a certain amount, say at a certain level, say maybe 10%. So when it gets to that level, there are no further increases automatically after that. Also, if your budget allows you to invest outside of your 401k, consider dollar cost averaging. This is a method of investing the same dollar amounts at regular intervals, kind of like you do in your 401k. When you do this, whether you do it monthly, quarterly, bi-weekly, whatever, when you do that, you're buying more shares when those prices for those investments are down and fewer shares when those prices are higher. It helps spread the cost of your investment out over a period of time. And again, it's just a great way to save. All right, their next letter in the word plan is the letter L, which stands for live within your means. That's a big one, right? Have a budget and stick to it. Knowing where your money goes is the first step in getting your finances in order. Once you know where your money is going, it's a lot easier to prioritize and make sure that you're doing those things that are important to you, like saving for retirement or other goals. Remember that financial fitness is a commitment and a lifestyle, just like going to the gym and eating right. A little discipline now will reap lots of rewards for years to come.
That is hard.
Going to the gym is hard too, getting up at
Oh,
5.
that's what I was saying. Going to the gym was harder than following a diet.
But it's a benefit there, right?
Absolutely.
It's a lot easier, seriously, to save for retirement and to cut in places that you need to cut so that you can save when you can tell where your money's going. It's easy to get in a routine and not really know where you're spending, but it's so important. Now, as far as credit cards, that's a big subject, right? You may have heard that there's good debt and bad debt. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of any debt at all, but most of us would not be able to own a home or a car without some debt, right? But credit card debt, that's a big inhibitor of financial well-being for a lot of people. Once you build up that mountain of credit card debt, it can be very, very difficult to pay it down. Not impossible, but difficult. This example shows that paying just the minimum amount due on a $10,000 balance with 11% interest can take 20 years to pay it off. So it's out there for a while. But there are a couple of successful methods that you can use to get that debt paid down. The important thing is just pick one of them, right? And be consistent so that you can be virtually debt-free in retirement. One of those methods is to start with the lowest balances. Pay extra on that lowest balance until it's paid off. So say you've got a card that has a $2,000 balance, a card that has a $4,000 balance, and a card that has a $10,000 balance. You'll pay just the minimum payment on the two higher balances, the 4 and the 10. But on that $2,000 card, you'll pay the minimum balance plus a little extra, maybe an extra $100. Then when that one is paid off, you take the whole amount that you were paying on that card, the minimum amount plus the extra, and you put it towards the next one, the $4,000 balance. Kind of like a snowball effect. If you follow Dave Ramsey, this is the plan that he uses, right? That snowball effect gets those smaller balances paid off quickly. And there is a psychological benefit to getting those smaller balances paid off, right? You get the win very quickly, and it helps keep you going. You just continue that until all of the cards are paid off. Now, you can start with those lower balances, like I said, or you can start with the cards that have the highest interest rates. Either way works. The important thing is just find the one that works for you and then stick with it. All right, the A in plan stands for assure your family stability. And you do this through estate planning and insurance. I promise you, if you don't have an estate plan, the state's got one for you. So you want to be sure that you are the one making the decisions about what happens to your assets after you're gone, right? Some important documents to discuss with your attorney here are wills, powers of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney, living wills. It also goes without saying that these are the kind of things that you want to think about long before you actually need them, right? By that time, it may be too late. I'll also add here, make sure that you review your beneficiaries on all of your plans on a regular basis. So many people will name a beneficiary and then just forget about it. Well, those types of accounts stay out there for years and years and years. It could be your work plan. It could be a life insurance policy that you took out when the kids were small. It could be a lot of different things, but if you don't review those on a regular basis, there's a lot of things that can happen. I meet with people sometimes who may have an ex-spouse still as beneficiary on one of their plans. Usually not good, right? Maybe there's a parent who's deceased that is named on there. Or maybe there's a friend on there that you named before you ever got married. You just want to make sure that you review that regularly. Even if you know that you named the right person when you took out that policy, believe it or not, changes don't just happen in our lives as individuals, right? Changes happen in companies as well. They change hands, they change names, they change databases, you name it. You just want to make sure that that company still has the correct information on file as well. It's also very important to review your insurance coverages. Life insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance. These are all products that help protect you and your family in the event of an unexpected death, illness, or disability. So there are a lot of people who rely solely on the insurance company coverage that they have at work, specifically life insurance coverage that they have at work. Many times this falls short of what's actually needed for income replacement and other means. If you need help calculating the coverage amount that's right for you, we'd love to have the opportunity to sit down with you and walk you through that. You can also visit lifehappens.org for some helpful calculators to push you in the right direction there. And then the final letter in the word plan is N, and that stands for Never Stop Learning. You're attending this workshop, so that's a great way to stay up to date about changes that affect retirement planning. Change is constant, right? We've already talked about changes that are coming down the pipe as far as required minimum distributions. I just heard this week about some changes that are coming to catch up contributions for retirement plans in 2024. I don't even have all of the details on that myself yet. But the point is there are always changes. So you want to make sure that you stay on top of that. And we're here to help you with that too. So feel free to reach out and talk to us so that you can make sure that you've got good information. Writing down your financial goals can be a roadmap to financial freedom. The road can be short and sweet, or it can be long and daunting, right? So make sure that you have a plan. Meeting with us one-on-one is a fantastic way to apply some of these rules individually to your own situation. All right, I'm going to pause again and see, do we have any questions? I think just about everybody's muted, but feel free to unmute if you'd like. Matt, do you see anything?
Miss
Right.
Teresa has a question.
Wonderful.
Okay, good. When you just talked about making a will,
Mhm.
I know I hear a lot of times, if you don't make a will, it'll go into probate. But then lately I heard that regardless if you make a will, it goes into probate. So what is different with the probate if you make a will or if you don't?
So it will go into probate whether you have a will or not. The things that do not go into probate, though, are accounts that you have named beneficiaries on. So those will avoid probate. Even if it does go through the will and goes through probate, though, at least your wishes are known, right? You are the one making that decision about where those assets go. If you don't have the will, the state's going to decide.
Okay, so anything that you have a beneficiary on is still going to go through probate. It's just, oh, it's not.
No, if you have a named beneficiary, it will bypass probate.
So for example, let's say my 401k, it wouldn't go through probate because I have somebody on it.
That's correct. Now your executor, they may ask your executor to give the balances, right? Because they're looking at your total estate for other purposes. Most of us don't have to worry about estate taxes at this point in time, but they may want to know what those balances are, but it's going to bypass probate and go directly to the named beneficiary, and it will not be a part of the public record.
Okay, thank you. I keep
And-
hearing different things about that, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and I would strongly recommend, we're not attorneys, right? I'm a certified financial planner, so I have some knowledge in that area, but I'm certainly not an attorney. And I would highly recommend that when you're talking about the estate planning part of this, You involve an attorney, a legal professional, and the same thing goes for tax information that we provide. We can talk about tax rules, but when it comes down to your personal tax situation, you definitely want to get a tax advisor involved with that.
Okay, thank you.
I think I
Teresa.
saw another hand.
Yeah, Miss Susan, go right ahead and ask your question.
Hi there.
Hi.
I am a single woman. I'm 59 and a half, and I have not planned on retiring until 67. So I wonder if there's somebody in the Charlotte area that could help me start making these decisions on who my beneficiaries might be or how much I might need to be planning to save away for when I'm 67, and how much the insurance or the deductions or anything else might be costing me.
Mhm.
Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a wonderful advisor in the Charlotte area. His name is Fitz McMurray. And he would be glad to sit down with you. I would say, I don't know if you wrote down my email address or not, but it's
yet.
good. So if you will email me, I will get your information to him so that he can reach out to you.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions before we move on?
Hey, Susan, I had a question for you. How close are you to either like the airport area or to the Mooresville area?
I'm closer to Mooresville,
Okay,
and
perfect.
I am 40 miles from work at the airport.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect. So Fitz, he actually can go to either one of those locations. So that's really good.
Take care.
I'm in Rowan County.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So anything else?
No, I just don't know where to start.
We'll help you out there.
You're in the right
Thank you.
place. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's shift gears now and talk briefly about how to maximize your contributions, your retirement contributions between now and when you do retire. All right, so the IRS does establish limits for contributing to retirement plans every year. This year, those limits have actually gone up fairly significantly, which is helpful for those of us who are trying to build that retirement nest egg. For those people who meet the requirements to make a contribution, there are income limits, and you know, especially if you're a part of a company plan. But if you meet the requirements to make a contribution, the IRS allows people of any age to contribute up to $6,500 a year in either a traditional IRA or a Roth or some combination of the two. You can also make a 401k contribution up to $22,500 for 2023. Now, those of us who are 50 or older can contribute a little more than that. The IRS allows us to contribute an extra $1,000 into IRAs, individual retirement accounts, for a total of $7,500 a year. And we can contribute an extra $7,500 into a 401k plan for a total of $30,000. So which investments should you choose? Diversification is very important. It's an important concept, but it's one that involves more than just asset classes, right? You should, of course, consider diversifying based on your risk tolerance, your time horizon, your objectives, all of that. We know that it's certainly not going to ensure a profit or guarantee against loss or anything like that, but it does allow us to spread the risk among asset classes or investments. And at the same time, it may make sense to diversify among registrations and product types. For example, it's important to have money outside of your retirement plans for those unexpected needs that pop up, or maybe some of those expected non-retirement goals. You don't want to have to pull from your retirement plan money to pay for something like putting on a new roof or something that's not related to retirement, especially if you have not yet hit the age where you can access that retirement plan without IRS penalties. It's very, very important to have that non-retirement money set aside for those particular goals. Also, having a bucket of money that is tax-free, like a Roth account, that can be very helpful in those retirement years that turn out to be high tax bracket years. Now, the reason I say that, some of you may not be familiar with the difference between traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. So with a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k contribution, there is a tax benefit now for putting that money into the plan. It's taken off of your income. It's a deduction if it's an individual account, IRA account. For a Roth account, it is not a deduction now. That's after-tax money that you use to fund the Roth account. Traditional IRA, when you draw it out years later after you retire, you're going to pay tax on it then because you didn't pay tax in the beginning, right? But the Roth money, you've already paid tax on the contribution, and all of those earnings that accumulate over the years, as long as you're 59 and a half when you draw it out and you've had the account for at least 5 years, all of those earnings are going to come out completely tax-free. I have had the privilege for several years of speaking to a class at Winston-Salem State University, and I would always tell those young people, as soon as you can contribute to a Roth, do it, because all of that time that they have for that Roth money to accumulate, they're going to have quite a bit of earnings in that Roth bucket, and every bit of that when they retire is going to come out completely tax-free. So that can be pretty nice.
Well,
Now,
I got a question, Carla. I'm so sorry to interrupt about that. So, like in my case, you know, we're putting back money every month in our savings account. You know, trying to build that emergency fund up. So when we get to that point, would that be the time, or would that be beneficial for us to open up a Roth? I know my wife has some. She has a old 401k from another company that she'd like to roll over. I know that that's possible to roll into a Roth, right?
Yeah, if it's traditional money now, she can put it into a Roth, but she will pay tax on that balance when she does that.
I gotcha. But would it be beneficial for us to start a Roth, you know, once we meet our emergency fund?
Sure, absolutely. So the emergency fund is very, very important. We always recommend that people have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses or income set aside in something that's very easily accessible, that won't be subject to taxes or penalties or fees or anything like that when you withdraw it out. Once you've got that set aside, then you can start on the longer term savings, and a Roth would be a longer term type product, right? So it is specifically for retirement, even though there's some flexibility there with your contributions. It is specifically for retirement, so you want that in your long-term bucket. But absolutely, the more that you can put away, the better off you're going to be.
Now, is there like is there a minimum to open one, or how many times can you contribute to it in a year?
Well, you can contribute as many times as you want, but remember that limit, right? $6,500 for people under 50, $7,500 for people 50 and older. And you still have to be within the income limits on that. So I would recommend that you talk to an advisor about your specific situation when you're ready to do that.
Sure. I'll give you a call.
Great. Yes. Great question. All right, so some of you, when we're talking about being in a lower tax bracket or a higher tax bracket in retirement, some of you may have had a thought that clicked in your mind, but I thought retirement years were supposed to be lower tax bracket years, right? Well, maybe or maybe not. Believe it or not, tax rates today are historically pretty low. Nobody knows whether this will continue in the years to come. Plus, more of us are working in retirement, which means taxable income for a lot of retirees. So it can be very helpful to have that tax-free Roth bucket set aside specifically for those types of scenarios. So back to the beginning, diversification comes in many forms, right? Not just the asset classes, but also the types of accounts and the tax strategies and all of that. I would say when it comes to diversification, though, one thing that I hear a lot from people is I want to make sure I don't have all my eggs in one basket, right? That's a great way to describe diversification. But don't misinterpret that phrase to mean that you need multiple advisors to manage your accounts, right? Having one trusted advisor as the quarterback will allow that advisor to see the big picture and advise you accordingly. All right, so finally, when it comes to investment options, it's tempting as you get closer and closer to retirement to want to close any gaps that you may have in your plan by taking more risk. I hear that a lot too. When it comes to risk, I hear one of two things on a regular basis. I see your hand raised, Laura. Lori, give me just a moment and I'll get to you for your question. But I hear two different things. One is I need to stop taking risk because I'm about ready for retirement. And the other is I need to take more risk because I haven't saved a lot. There are fallacies with both of those. So remember that the more speculative investments usually come with the higher risk, and you may not be able to afford to take that kind of risk when you're closer to needing that money. So resist the urge to take on more risk than you've generally been able to accept in an effort to catch up in the final years before retirement. All right, Miss Lori, what is your question?
I am the 65 to 7,500 for the 50 years old. I turned 50 in the fall and I need to do some Roths and financial planning and sit down with Fitz. I've already met him, but I haven't actually made the appointment. Am I better to wait till after I'm 50 so I can do the whole 7,500, or can you just put that 1,000 in at any time?
You check with your tax person, but I think you can do it at any time. The year that you turn, because the IRS is not going to really know when you made the contribution, right? You're just gonna let them know that you made the contribution during the calendar year. So you should be fine.
Okay.
I would recommend that you go ahead and make that appointment and talk with Fitz and let him guide you on when's the best time to put that money in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you for that question. One other thing on this, moving in and out of the market is also not good. That can do more harm than good, and it can also be very emotionally overwhelming. It's usually better just to choose the level of risk that helps you stay the course. On this slide, you see some different types of investments and where they fit on the risk spectrum. The lower risk assets are on the bottom, the higher risk assets are on the top. I would recommend that you sit down with your advisor and regularly discuss which of those types of investments offer an appropriate level of risk as it pertains to your overall goals and objectives. All right, so what are some things that you should not do? There are some common mistakes to avoid when it comes to retirement planning. And we've talked about a lot of these already, but just to recap some of those, remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? You've all heard that. If financial planning is not in your wheelhouse, choose a trusted planner to help you organize your financial world and advise you on the steps that you can take to meet your goals. Also, don't chase returns. We just talked about that one too, right? Remember that what's done well in the past may not be the best performer in years to come. So make sure that that allocation is right. Healthcare is a very large expense for most people. We talked about that a little bit early on. As we age, we tend to need even more care, right? Most of us are not going to have those company health plans to fall back on, those plans that we've been accustomed to for so long. Be sure to plan for this as you're making your retirement plan. Consider a plan for long-term care expenses as well. Do not rely on Medicare for long-term care expenses. Medicare covers very, very little in minute when it comes to long-term care expenses. As we discussed earlier, if your company does provide a 401k match, make sure that you get it. Don't leave that money on the table. Another big one is prioritizing your own financial health over your kids. I know that's a hard one. We all want to help our kids, right? Whether it's help them with college expenses or down payment on a home or some other need, we all want to do that. But just remember, there are multiple ways to fund a college education. Nobody's going to step in and fund your retirement for you. So make sure that your priorities are in order. We also talked about risk a few minutes ago. Find a way to measure your tolerance for risk and stay within it. If you don't know how to measure your risk tolerance, we can certainly help with that, and we'd love to have that opportunity. You probably should consider reducing risk as you get closer to using your nest egg. But remember that reducing and eliminating are not the same. People are living longer nowadays. So you may have 20 or 30 years to fund in retirement, 20 or 30 years of income that you're going to need. Having all of that money sitting in just a savings account or some deposit account at the credit union is probably not going to help you be able to outpace inflation when it comes to your income. As I said earlier, I hear two different schools of thought on that. People come into me when they're thinking about retiring, they're a few years away, and they either want to stop taking risk altogether or they want to shoot the moon. Neither of those is probably the best strategy. You want to find something that's going to help you fight that long-term inflation for as long as you live, but you don't want to take so much risk that you end up running out of money because the market falls so drastically either. So definitely talk to your advisor about what's the right level of risk that you should take. Also, make it a priority to pay off as much debt as possible prior to retirement. Keep in mind that many people these days retire with a mortgage. Don't stress too much if you still have a reasonable mortgage in retirement, but do try to reduce your overall debt as you head into retirement, and definitely those credit cards. Try to get those things paid off. And this last point, in my mind, this is the absolute most important thing. If you don't get anything else that I've said tonight, remember that retirement is not all about the money. Make sure that you have a plan for living. It's so easy to get caught up in the financial aspect of it that you get ready to walk out the door for the last time and you don't really have a plan for living. You don't have a purpose. So make sure that you've thought through that. Having a purpose has been shown to be the major contributor of a satisfying retirement. So you can have all of your ducks in a row financially and just sit on the couch for the next 20 years and it's probably not going to be a fulfilling retirement for you. Make sure that you know how you're going to spend your time. All right. Make sure you review your plan regularly with your advisor. Remember, change is constant. Things are constantly changing. I was listening to a preacher this weekend and he made the analogy that life is not a merry-go-round, right? Meaning we don't keep going around the same way all the time, seeing the same scenery. It's more like a cannonball. It's always changing. Make sure that your plan is flexible enough to weather all of those changes that life throws at you, because I do promise you there's going to be some changes that you don't expect. So make sure that your financial plan is flexible as well. Decide what level of help you think you need and choose a financial planner that can help provide that sort of expertise. You can choose to meet face-to-face, video chat, by phone. Just make sure that you regularly discuss the changes that might affect your plan. And that trusted advisor can help you develop those strategies and review your progress and implement your plan so that you can retire with confidence. All right, any other questions out there? It is 6:48, so I would say that we did pretty good. Yes, Teresa.
I actually have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is, once you start taking money from your 401k in retirement,
Mhm.
does it stop earning interest, or what's left in there still? I don't know if I'm asking the question correctly, but you got this 401k plan and it's earning interest, until you stop working, and then you retire and you start taking from it. So whatever you take from it, what's still left in there? Will it continue to gain interest on that money, or does it just stop?
It's going to perform based on the underlying investments. So let's just say that you had everything in the fixed interest portion of your 401k. Whatever that fixed interest rate is that is paying, the balance that remains in that plan will earn that fixed interest rate. Most people have their 401ks invested in mutual funds, which could be a combination of stocks, bonds, whatever, right? So those funds are going to perform based on whatever those underlying investments are doing.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing about 401ks is, for years and years and years, right, we put money into these 401k plans, and I don't know about you guys, but the companies that I've worked for have been really good about providing the plans and maybe providing the matches, but when it comes to guidance, as far as which investments to choose and why you're choosing them, probably not so much. When you leave a company, you have the option to roll that money to an IRA and have an advisor help you choose the appropriate investments to help get you through your retirement years. So even if you choose not to roll it, it's usually a good idea to at least sit down with an advisor and talk about what your options are.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it did. And here's my second question, sort of as a comment also. I always wondered, how do you end up being in a higher tax bracket after you retire when you're living off of Social Security and it's not going to give you what you made while you were working? And I know you might have a pension or a 401k, and I thought, how in the world do you end up in a higher tax bracket after you retire when you got less income coming in? And
Wow.
I heard you say earlier something about tax rates may change,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always, when I first heard you could pay more taxes when you retire, and I'm thinking, how in the world can that happen?
No, I've seen it happen, believe it or not. The thing is, you pay tax on all of your income, right? And a little bit of a break on the Social Security income, but it's still on some level, it's taxable. Pension, 401k, when you withdraw money from those, you're going to have taxes paid on those. Some people still work in retirement, so they'll have income taxes on what they earn. And in addition to that, the tax rates, they are at a historically low point right now. So are they always going to stay that way? I don't know. I mean, right now, a lot of people can get out at 12% federal tax or 22% federal tax. And that has not always been the case, and it may not be the case in the future. So with all of the withdrawals that you're making from your pre-tax plans that you put in for so many years, and the Social Security, at least a portion of it, and the pension if you've got it, if you're lucky enough to have it. And then if you can throw in a part-time job, it's easier than you think to be in a higher tax bracket.
Okay.
Especially when you get to the age where the government starts telling you, okay, I don't care if you don't need any money from your 401k, you got to take it out anyway. Right?
Okay.
Possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it does happen.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Lori? Lori, did you have a question?
Yep, I did. All right, I was trying to get off of mute. I left a healthcare hospital after 18 years, and I rolled my 401k to somebody local here in Concord. And it was kind of a fast decision, and it was like by one recommendation from a friend. And I met Fitz with Dory the other day, and is there a penalty to roll it to a different financial planner? And can I get everything all together into one person, or is there penalties to pay, or how easy is that?
Yeah, it really depends on a lot of things. It depends on what it's invested in, how long you've had it. I would recommend that you take your statements when you talk with Fitz and let him answer those questions for you, because we answer it different for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great question, man.
And you know Dory.
I do. I took care of Dory's mom at a healthcare facility as a nurse, and we became very good friends.
Well, how about that? Well, I love
Yeah.
Dory. I work with her every day, and it's definitely sunshine all the time.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions from you? Well, you do have, as promised, my my contact information on the screen there. I would love for you to write down the email address or the phone number and reach out to me, especially if you have questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking in a group setting. I'd love to have the opportunity to meet any of you. So feel free to reach out. Matt, have I missed anything?
We again thank you for coming on tonight and talking with us, Carla. First of all, thank you. And then everybody that attended, we really appreciate this. I hope it's been beneficial. We actually are recording this session. So if you would like, I can email this, the link out to you. I'm going to put it on YouTube and can email that to you all so you can have this to reference if you ever need to, if that's okay. I can email that out to you. I think that covers it all. You gave them your contact information, and that's her personal number. No, I'm just kidding. That's that's her office
That sounds
number.
great to me. So definitely.
So yeah, that'll come right to Carla. So again, thank you so much. If y'all don't have any questions, then we'll end tonight, and we will hope to see you soon in the future.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank
And
you.
you're gonna automatically just send us this?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I'll go ahead and automatically send this to you. It'll be tomorrow, but I'll get it out to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
You're
Thank
very welcome. Thank
Glad
you.
all came.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye, Miss Susan. Take care.
Bye-bye.